Thank you for joining us for the final webinar in our ABCs of AI series. And today's topic is navigating AI risks and mitigation strategies. We've been so lucky to have Anna Litvak-Kynenzon leading all three of these webinars. Anna is the Chief AI Product Strategist for Alltech AI, and she's been in the field, as she just said, for many years. She's also going to be moderating our panel at the Community Salute on May 12th, and the registration for that will open in a couple of weeks. But we're excited also today. Anna will be joined by Peter Nieves, who's also referred to as the IP mentor and founded Nieves IP Law Group. And he's a nationally recognized IP attorney of 26 years. And he specializes in AI law as well as trademark, copyright, patent, and trade secret law. So he'll be joining us in just a little while, but I just have a couple of little reminders, housekeeping reminders, to just remain muted during the presentation. Please feel free to add any questions, comments in the chat as Anna and Peter are speaking, and we'll get to those questions either during the presentation or during the Q&A that we'll host at the end or toward the end of the session. So here we are, and I will turn it over to Anna now. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for this introduction, Veronica, and we will kind of quickly dive in on I'm very excited for this important topic of navigating AI risks and mitigation strategies. I think this topic is very important, and we're gonna talk about mainly about AI risks and mitigation strategies in the areas of regulations and ethical AI. And then for the second half, we will have Peter Nieves join us and talk about IP law and risks in AI, IPs, intellectual property, and trademarks, and kind of any legal issue topics related to that. So let's dive in. So let's quickly recap what we talked about in the first two sessions. You're seeing just one slide, right? Great.
Yes.
So yeah, so we talked about demystifying AI fundamentals in this series, including what is AI, and essentially it's most of the AI models we talk about today are machine learning models. Moreover, most of them are deep learning models, and most of them are built on artificial neural networks. We talked about the history of AI. It's been around for 70 years, starting in 1950 by Alan Turing, who considered to be the grandfather of AI, posing the interesting question, can machines think? And that led later to the Turing test, which asking can we differentiate between an AI system and a human in a conversation. And today we're closer than ever to many AI systems passing the Turing test. And that's what brings us to today's topic. So what does it mean to our considerations or on safety and developing ethical AI with knowing that most of our AI system already passing the Turing test? We are there. We talk about the generative AI hype and some terms, techniques, and tools. So I want a raise of hands here, and if you can, please also put in the chat how many people following session 2 when we talked about many different AI tools and saw some demos. Please tell us, like, did you use any new tools or did you use more of the generative AI tools following this series? And maybe raise, yeah, great. Thank you, Leslie. So please share if you have, and please share in the chat what you've done differently. Well, what is one thing that you've done differently, or what new tool that you tried since we met in January? And Veronica, maybe, if you can pick some highlights from the chat, that would be great. We talked about AI opportunities for business, and there are many AI opportunities for business. So I want to remind that we are in a pivotal point in time. as big as the Industrial Revolution or the Internet Revolution, AI is here to stay. It's going to change the way we work and live, and it's going to revolutionize every industry and every business. Um, so we all kind of need to adapt and learn, and it's developing very quickly. And there are a ton of different opportunities. Yet, over 80% of AI initiatives still fail. And last time we talked about how to develop an effective AI strategy and roadmap in order to make sure that the AI initiative of your business is successful. And today, we're going to talk about AI risk and mitigation strategies because with this great opportunity um, comes also a great responsibility to making sure that this very smart AI system that's going to definitely leverage human capabilities and better humanity are actually developed and promoted in a way that is safe for humans, is ethical, and is fair. So we're going to kind of talk today about some AI hurdles and risk, mainly around the ethical and regulation space. And we're going to talk about some of the mitigation strategies and what we can do in our realm of power. And in the second half, I'm very excited about the IP attorney and mentor, Peter Neves, joining us to talk about the legal aspects of AI and IP and trademarks. So let's dive in. There is a lot of opportunity with AI, and the developments are so fast that it spins my head, right? Does it spin your head too? Raise your hand if it does. Yeah, thank you, Kim. It spins your Thank you, people, Julie, Leslie, that joining this notion that it's head spinning. Thank you, Terry, that it's head spinning speed. We just heard about the O1 reasoning model from OpenAI, and we already have all three reasoning model from OpenAI. We have tasks, which is like AI agents, right? And operator. And Gemini 2, which is also a reasoning model. This is also actually an AI agent. It has like a few different models in Gemini 2. And if you're subscribed, you can try all of them. And it has agentic capabilities and reasoning capabilities. It's actually pretty strong. And then we all heard about the DeepSeek R1 from China that kind of created a big thunderstorm in the AI space, in the tech space in the US, with NVIDIA losing um, um, considerable amount of money when its stock fell. Because DeepSeek R1 was a model that was developed in a much cheaper manner. It used large language models of AI to train smaller language models of AI, and it showed how you can create an AI model, a generative AI model that has reasoning capabilities equivalent to O1, but much cheaper. But then other concerns were raised, such as it seemed that DeepSeek maybe, possibly, actually used ChatGPT API, OpenAI's API to train their model, and that's how they achieve the cheaper results and the faster results. And the OpenAI now investigating the matter, and they might wanna submit a lawsuit against DeepSeek for using their model in order to train their own model. And in fact, a group of researchers, recently researchers from Stanford and other universities, reproduce this effect. So they develop a model called S1 that has the same reasoning capabilities as R1 and O1 at under $50. And the way they use it in a way that OpenAI suspects that DeepSeek did their model. They took a pre-trained open source large language model that they could then fine tune and train it with data from a big reasoning model. So what they did, they took the Gemini 2 model, which is a great reasoning model at this point in time, and they generated just 1,000 responses that are good responses, and also because Gemini explains what it does and how, they could use that data as well. So with only 1,000 good responses from the Gemini model, they used the bigger AI model to train the smaller AI model under $50, demonstrating that these things are now possible. And it's really kind of steering the revolutionizing how we think about it and how we can develop AI quickly. In addition to that, we keep hearing about the rise of humanoid robots, and we keep hearing about the fact that AGI, artificial general intelligence, is close to ever and for sure going to reach us before 2030. Multiple CEOs such as Sam Altman and Dario Amodei kind of express their predictions of this happening. And this was discussed a lot at the this week's Paris AI Action Summit. And at this summit, we also heard that UK and US kind of refused and opted out from signing a declaration promoting ethical and transparent AI development, which is somewhat worrisome. And they cited concerns about national security and slowing down the development of AI. Unlike the European community that wants to put those safety nets in place. And we also know that the new administration kind of canceled the previous administration's AI Act, right? So it seems that there is like, while Europe is leaning towards putting some protections in place, such as AI acts and other considerations, some other countries such as US, UK, China kind of opting out from those. So I think it's a very important topic now, maybe more than ever, to talk about AI risks and AI regulation and what is in our power to do in order to make sure that we embrace the amazing opportunities that exist with AI to better humanity, to improve lives of people with medical development, with diagnoses, with cancer therapies, with enabling people that have disabilities, with enhancing our productivity, improving our processes, and making our life better, and really enhancing the human capabilities in every realm, including creativity. But we do it safely and fairly in order to have AI that is AI for good, and we mitigate the risks. So there are multiple AI hurdles, and we mentioned some of them in the previous sessions, but today we're going to kind of mainly focus on the governance, management of data and AI, and regulations, on the ethical and legal concerns. And again, in the second part of this session, we will talk about intellectual property and trademarks with a leading IP attorney and mentor. And I always, but always want to remember the ground rule of AI. AI is dependent on data, and hence garbage in, garbage out. So your AI can only be as good as your data. So everything we talk about, always think about the data behind the model. So ethical considerations in AI development have three main topics: bias and fairness, right? And again, your AI model is as good as your data. So if your data is biased, your model might be biased, right? And we should look at the generative AI as a mirror to our society, because the generative AI models were mostly, the fundamental models were trained on public data that reflects our society as a mirror. And because our society is biased, then the data was biased, and as a result, our models are biased. So of course, one way to fix that is have a less biased and more diverse society. But because that will take time, while we're working on it, and please help me keep working on that, we also need to think about other mitigation ways that we will gonna discuss in a minute. Transparency, of course, we need to understand how the AI works right? In order to know whether we want to trust it or not, right? Whether its results are reliable and repeatable and meet all kind of regulations, such as FDA regulation. And the third component is accountability. So who is responsible if there is an accident with a self-driving car? Who is responsible? If there is a ruling made by an AI system or an action done by an AI agent which is wrong, who is accountable? Who takes the responsibility? And if we want to kind of deep dive into that a little bit and understand AI risks, so again, AI systems may have bias and may practice discrimination because they depend on the data, and the data exhibits society biases, right? And the AI system will repeat or even amplify these biases. And that's why, for example, we don't want to have AI judges or AI system that can significantly impair human lives, right? We want to be very cautious with that. In addition to that, it might replace some jobs. And just recently, we saw in the news that the Guardian reported the the BBC reported that the Guardian journalists were striking, and the management, as a result, just used AI to generate the headlines. And this is a big risk, right? What does it mean for employee rights? What does it mean to the way people do their work, and which jobs might be eliminated and replaced by AI? And how we need to upskill people in order to make sure that they can maintain jobs that assisted by AI and enhance their human capabilities and not just being replaced by AI in certain roles. Other kind of risks include privacy concerns, right? So both from the regulation perspective, whether it's HIPAA or FDA or GDPR, but we also have actual concerns with privacy, such as surveillance systems, right? Or criminal system that would determine um, whether somebody is likely to repeat their crime or not. And other kind of privacy concerns, such as just even your data leaking, your personal information leaking, how we protect data when using AI systems. There are a lot of security risks, such as cybersecurity attacks. A company may lose their proprietary data, maybe ask for ransom, and other security risks could just be people using AI for bad things. It could be people using AI as weapon systems, and we already have AI flown drones that have war missions that don't have the human in the sea that can make a consideration. We already have deep fakes that kind of generate a lot of concerns. So we have a lot of things that humans can do with AI that won't be necessarily safe that we need to consider. And one of the other risks is, of course, the lack of transparency and explainability. A lot of these AI systems are black box system. Black box meaning we don't know how the AI reached its conclusion, and it's not necessarily repeatable. We can run the same model again and again and get different results. So on one hand, if you're using ChatGPT to boost your creativity when you're writing some content, that could be great because it boosts your creativity, you do the brainstorming, so you want it to give different results each time. But if you're talking about healthcare or finance, you want to make sure that the AI model is explainable and transparent, and you understand what it does and why. Same with AI agents, you want to make sure that you know their considerations, what they did, why they did it, and you can trust it. So
Anna,
yeah.
We have a couple questions in the chat that feel like they fit into this section. Do you want me to hold
Oh,
them?
okay,
Yes.
wonderful. Yes, no, no, please do because I
Okay.
don't see the chat in this
Yeah, no, no,
presentation
no.
mode. So that's why I ask you if you can monitor the chat. So thank you, Veronica.
Yes,
Please do.
absolutely. So one question from Joe Durr is, um, if Elon Musk is after OpenAI, what are the privacy implications of something like that, of his getting access to it or owning it?
That's a great question. So first of all, Elon Musk want to acquire OpenAI. Thus far, he didn't even submit an official offer. It's just been like, a hype chat. And it actually creates other risks because most likely OpenAI will not take this offer. But they had like a 40 billion valuation and offer that was on the table. And that may mean that the board would want to wait until a comparable offer of almost 100 billion will be on the table. But so from this perspective, kind of it mostly creates hypes and noise rather than something that we need to consider right now. But in sense of like data privacy and such, there are data privacy concerns with any system, including if Elon Musk will acquire OpenAI or if he will not. And we need to make sure that we can control the data that we put into the system. One way is to make sure that we check our data privacy within the apps and systems we use and disable the use of our data for other purposes, such as don't sell my data, don't train models on my data, and reading the user terms to make sure that our data is protected. And the question is whether you trust the company. So, for example, a lot of people now do not trust DeepSeek and don't use it. And now we start to see bans on DeepSeek, such as the New York ban, the Italy ban, the Australia ban, because even though some say that using DeepSeek is safe when the model is hosted on the US servers, people still don't trust it. So if Elon Musk will or will not acquire OpenAI, eventually it will be up to the people using these systems and not up to the companies using this system to decide whether the user agreement is something they trust or not. And many companies today are required to implement guardrails such as SOC 2, right? That SOC 2 is a framework that companies can implement and undergo voluntarily an audit by their clients to make sure that the data, software, and AI they provide is safe to use to enhance the trust of the clients.
Okay, there's another question here. You mentioned DeepSeek. Um, so Stella is asking, she has two questions actually. DeepSeek appears to have open source code so folks can download and actually use it privately. What, if any, concerns do you have, and how do you compare it to Silicon Valley AI?
Who? How you compare it to?
Silicon Valley AI.
Oh, that's a great question. We can talk about it for an hour, but I'll kind of try to reply briefly. So all the open source models, right? Most of the open source model we talk about, such as DeepSeek's open source model, OpenAI's GPT open source model, Meta's Llama open source model 3.1 and 3.2, and other open source models, right? That are available are actually pre-trained with some data, and you can fine-tune them. Fine-tuning means train the top layer with your own data, and then you can host the model on your premise. That means that it's going to be safer, it's going to use your own data, and it's going to be more specific to your domain. And if you host it on your own server, then it's of course safer to use because you have full control. So it's much safer than those Silicon Valley models that are fully out of the box and hosted on their servers, right? And indeed, regulated industries such as healthcare and finance use this approach of taking open source models and training them, fine-tuning them with their own data and hosting them internally to mitigate the regulatory risk of regulated industries such as healthcare and finance. That being said, you need to have the infrastructure to fine tune and train this model with your own data and host it and allowing others to use it. So if you're a company, you might have this infrastructure. If you're an individual person, maybe not. And additional risk concern, and that's why some countries and the New York State banned the use of DeepSeek, is even if you have open source model that you fine tune with your own data, you might have a backdoor in the code, a Trojan horse kind of backdoor in the code that may have a way to send your data anyway secretly to wherever. So that's always there. So it's your decision who you want to trust and how you evaluate how to trust them.
Great,
We are
thank you.
living in a complicated world.
I'm gonna hold the other question for a little bit later. So
Okay,
thanks, Em.
so kind of some examples that some of them I think I already mentioned are of risks is the Compass recidivism software is an AI software that judges and probation parole officers used to assess a criminal defendant's likelihood of becoming a repeated offender, right? And this AI software was developed already in 2016 and been used and improved since then. But when it was used in those systems, we discovered that it has a lot of racial discrimination. Again, biased data, biased models. And in addition to that, it only predicted correctly 61% of the time when somebody gonna repeat the crime. So yeah, it's a high percentage. But think about it, it was wrong almost 40% of the time, deeming people to be repeatable offenders where they actually were not. And in violent crimes, it was only 20% of the times, right? So we don't really want judicial systems maybe using AI over humans. Maybe it's a power we don't want to give up. Again, hiring tools such as the Amazon AI hiring tool had gender discrimination. So were a lot of the AI tools that used now by all the banks that have gender discrimination in giving credit, in giving credit lines, in giving kind of loans, etc. Because again, biased data, biased model. So we want to make sure we develop tools that are fair and unbiased and non-discriminatory before we actually using them in anything that affects human lives, in any decision that really impact human lives. And more we hear today about the deep fake videos. And I don't know if everybody here kind of been in the first session when I showed uh, a deep fake of myself, an avatar. This is an avatar that I created today with just like a picture or a few seconds of video and a small voice sample. You can generate a full video of the person talking and delivering whichever text you gave it or doing whichever movements that you want them to do. And ping me if you want. If you haven't saw the video, I'll show you the deep fake of me and another deep fake I created with another avatar that demonstrates that. And we heard all this week about the news about generating a deep fake video with Einstein, talking about things he never talked about. So it created a lot of concerns. There were like some mess around the world with like deep fake of sexual content, young people. Some people took their life as a result of losing their reputation with such a video. So we need to make sure that it doesn't do harm. In addition, because of all this possibility now to generate videos, voice, and content with AI, we don't know anymore what is real. We don't know anymore what is real. We we need to find ways to being able to determine what is actual news and what is fake news. And it's very, very confusing. And last but not least, I want to mention kind of a risk that we all may be thinking about as well. As we use more and more of these AI systems, maybe we lose the ability of critical thinking. Maybe we're becoming too dependent. Can you drive today without a GPS? And how we mitigate those? So with these thoughts, I want to do a little breakout session. We will take 7 minutes with people can talk about which AI risk you have come across, either at work, in your personal life, which AI risks you're concerned about, and also which mitigation strategies you can propose or aware of, either from your work or from your life or just from your creative thinking. And designate a spokesperson. We will ask like maybe 2 or 3 people to recap. Is that okay, Veronica? Are you okay to help us
Yes, I will create the
with the
breakout.
breakout?
You create, there we go. All the rooms are open. I think you should have to press the join button.
Yes, please do.
Be sure to press the join button to go into your rooms.
Well, maybe we can have the people that are stayed here as our own breakout room.
We can.
Yeah. Um, Anybody wants to share what is their concerns about the AI systems?
I will. I guess I'm
Go
concerned
ahead.
about personal privacy, right? I use only Chat GPT right now, although, right, we're using AI all the time, but um, what information is it collecting? Like if I ask it to plan a trip for me, which I just did
Right.
actually, a road trip, and is it going to know like when I'll be gone and what's happening in my life and who has that information? It seems a little
It does.
scary.
So first of all, it's really important to use the paid for systems
Yeah,
because then you have more control. Because think about it, they all have some business model, and most the free system, their business model is actually collecting your data for various purposes, maybe in a legal and ethical way, right? Um, so the way to kind of to mitigate more and more data privacy concerns is first of all, um, making sure that you use this paid for system. Second is to go into the settings and check those don't use my data for model training. Don't share my data, delete my data. So you have all these possibilities.
yeah,
And there is the memory aspect. So you can actually it's very useful to use memory then because your model knows you and becomes better and better for suggesting things for you. But
yeah.
some things you don't want it to remember. So you can either write a chat without memory and you now have it in the like bottom navigation menu to choose a chat that won't be remembered or saved.
Uh-huh.
And you can turn off its memory altogether if you want to. You can also kind of generate projects and within the project, not use memory within certain projects. And you can also go to the setting and delete all your chats or all your data that was uploaded as far. So you have all this control with ChatGPT. I think I showed last time maybe how to do it, but happy to show again.
I think you did, yeah. I think people
Yeah.
take for granted, right? Or forget that they're in control of some of these systems that they use and yeah, it's a good reminder.
And I
Somebody
think ChatGPT, yeah,
no, go
go
ahead.
ahead. I think every people think about ChatGPT because it's kind of new, but think about it. It same is true for your browser.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
is true for when you're using Google search.
Mhm.
Same is true when you're using social media such as LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. And in those systems as well, you have various options to opt out and protect your data.
Yeah, that's true. Somebody wrote a question here, and I think we can ask it if it doesn't get answered as people are discussing, but um, should we create a second account or a persona for our own AI accounts? Is that a good way to protect our identities and data?
You could. right?
Yeah.
You could. I think people find various ways to protect themselves based on their concern level or what they're searching or what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
I think today it's almost impossible to completely hide. You actually need to live in a cave and use no internet whatsoever. Because
Yes.
think about it, we all talk about ChatGPT and Gemini in these kind of big AI chats, but we are listened to all the time. Did you notice that you would have like some random conversation over dinner and then Facebook recommend something,
Yeah.
right? So we're being listened to all the time. We are being tracked all the time. And so it's not just in those AI chats, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So I know some people, some techies mainly, that are very kind of protective of their data. So they use all those alternative apps, and they use all types of phones. They don't use smartphones, and they build their own at-home mail servers. So you can
Yeah.
go that way as well. So it's like all depends about
Wow.
your level of concern and what you have to hide.
Yes. Right. And what you have to.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe give people a warning of 2 minutes,
2 minutes. Yep.
and then we'll pull people back and we'll ask some people to share.
That's easy. This is great. I'm taking notes and I love it.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I think we won't have time to cover all of my slides, so I'll skip ahead a little bit, but it's a lot. It's a lot. There is just so
There's so
much
much to
to,
consider.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so maybe we'll start pulling people in because like, the end of give them maybe a few second warning, and at 1:43 we should pull them back in.
Yeah. I'll close the rooms and then it gives them like a little extra time
Okay, cool.
if they're still talking. Yeah.
Okay. Are we giving them another minute? Okay.
Yeah, that's what it does too. But we definitely have like various levels of users and understanding of AI in the club.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a part of the challenge with this kind of sessions, because you always have a mixed audience. For some, it will be too much. For some, it will be too little.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to find a common ground. But like, I think what the good thing
Oh,
is that it
Peter is here,
generates.
just so you know.
Oh, great. Yeah. Hi, Peter. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Peter. Oh, they're all gonna come back in 3 seconds. Here they come.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back, everybody. Oh, maybe some people kind of accidentally dropped out of the call.
I see
Mm,
Nancy James and Rick Fries. I have to meet whoever that is. I love this cute picture.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I've had trouble changing my background picture and or getting myself on one of the freeform backgrounds. So sorry about that. Don't know what's going on, and I get tired of fiddling with Zoom.
so we'll
They
start
move
with
controls.
reporting back from the groups. Okay.
Stella's our groups.
Oh, thank you. So
So
my group,
Veronica, do you think that some people dropped out when they try to get back to the room?
no, we
I
still have
don't think so. I
to-
think we're okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
We
Wonderful.
had 21
So,
people before, right? And we have 10, 15,
22 now.
22 now.
Yep.
oh, okay. Yeah, great.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I think
So,
we're good.
yeah, so we want two volunteers to recap some of your group. Veronica, you chose somebody,
Bella,
right?
do you want to start?
Me?
Yes.
Okay, sure. Why not? So my
Oh,
group
and
was,
please record again. Veronica, I'm reminding you to record again.
I already did that.
It's still recording.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
so my group was with Leslie Saul, Julie Sherman, and I believe Violet, right? Violet Cabasso. And there were artists and architects in the group. I forget what Violet did. We had a lot of discussion over authenticity and AI replacing the authenticity of maybe art, but yet at the same time in architecture, it can really expedite and make things much more efficient. Also voice concerns about small business and when these new technologies come out, such as the cloud and now AI, a lot of small businesses are taken advantage of in terms of the cost of implementation, and seeing that our country is made up of mostly small businesses, that's a huge concern. So that's what I think. Did I leave anything out, ladies?
Thank you for sharing, Stella.
Thank you. What about somebody from room 1? Diane, Candace, Jen, Joy, or Kristen?
Hi,
You
ladies.
don't have.
I'll speak if nobody else wants to. It's Diane Daly. So we had a very diverse group, which was great and interesting. We had concerns over AI, just AI making assumptions about people and what they were capable of doing or had. Someone was sharing a story about creating a business plan and how the AI tool that she was using put a whole bunch of assumptions in there and just created this plan that really wasn't accurate. So people had concerns about using it with business strategy. Another concern was just people losing skill sets and using AI tools such as Claude or Chat GPT for cleaning or drafting documents and how easy it is to rely on that. And ultimately, people can lose their skill sets for written communications. And finally, someone in looking for jobs had given Claude and Chat GPT their resume in a job posting, which was really helpful for identifying alignment in gaps, but also found that when AI had offered a draft cover letters, it had extracted experience that person did not actually feel they had, so really wasn't sure like how they really came up with it. So just being careful on fact checking accuracy, making sure that you are paying attention to input in and input out.
So
Did
this
I
is a
miss
great
anything?
point. This is the great point, Diane, and I think it's very important to always check the results of the AI system and make sure that you actually agree with it and you don't need to edit it before continuing. But also it's something about the prompt. So if you're using the more detailed your prompt is, the better the result would be. So for example, you can instruct whether ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or whatever you're using to, when you're doing such alignment, say between your resume and job description for a cover letter, you can instruct it to only use actual experience from a list of experience that you give it, or from your resume, and then it would follow the instruction. And if first it doesn't, you can always kind of, and I think I demonstrated last time a little bit, you can always tell it, well, did you follow my instructions? Please only give information that is provided in these files, for example. So yeah, so those are great mitigation ways. And somebody in the chat asked about data protection and should they create a second persona, and we discussed it a little bit in our breakout room with Veronica. But you could develop a second persona and maybe not. It's up to you. think about it that your data is being listened to and used to all the time when you searching Google, searching the web, using your browser, using your social media, at home conversation being listened to. You can see it by the recommendations you're getting afterwards. So, and there are many ways to protect your data. You can use the paid for version, then you have more control over your data. You can turn off memory. You can go to settings and ask to delete data you want to delete. You can in the setting instruct the tool not to use your data to train the model. You can instruct it not to sell your data. So there are a lot of controls in the settings. So always go to the setting and make sure you review also the user agreement to make sure that your data protection needs are met. And you can always do anonymous search, or in ChatGPT on the bottom menu, you can choose to do a non-memory type of chat that won't be remembered. So kind of there are a lot of tools to use to protect your data. And I think last time in the demos, I showed how to use data protection within ChatGPT. So for the sake of time, because we need to, in a minute, transfer to Peter's section about IP, please, if you want, I would ask the group designated speaker to write maybe in the chat a few words about risks you talk about and maybe mitigation that you talk about. Can you please share with us in the chat? Thank you. And just kind of jumping on. So we talked about some ethical and fairness considerations, but our actual legal and regulatory considerations and frameworks governing AI, some of them mandatory, especially in certain countries or certain regions or certain industries, such as GDPR, which is General Data Protection Regulation in the EU, and HIPAA, which is Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, which is in the US. And those are kind of data privacy frameworks that a lot of industries such as healthcare, finance, and other have to comply with. So if you develop AI solutions, maybe you are not in a regulated industry, but your clients might be, so you need to adhere to those. There is the AI Act in Europe, so we need to adhere to that even when we're developing software in the US, because we might want to sell to clients in Europe, right? And that is AI. The AI Act is specific to risk-based regulations. And for example, the US and UK at the moment seem to be opting out for similar AI protection acts. And there are many other laws and frameworks to protect our data and AI systems that provide frameworks and regulations that we need to adhere to, such as the FDA regulations in healthcare, or the CCPA, which is the California Consumer Privacy Act that we need to adhere to for California consumers. There is the SOC 2 framework, System and Organization Controls 2 system, that organizations can opt out to developing and then opt in to developing and opt in to invite external auditors to make sure that comply, and that kind of a safety framework that allows clients to know that the software you sell and the AI software you sell is safe to use. And various ISO framework, which is data standards that you also can develop and then have external auditors audit you and prove to your clients that you adhere to these standards to protect data privacy and other regulations and laws. So, so how we want to make sure that we have mitigation strategies and building safety nets for many of the risks we just mentioned. There are many technical solutions. Some of them we discussed today, such as developing an explainable AI, which is also sometimes called XAI, is developing AI that we can trace the steps and have repeatable results and understand how AI got to the output it got. We can use open source AI models and train them and host them in-house. And those systems are used widely in regulated industries such as healthcare and finance to solve the regulation problems in developing safe AI for those regulated industries. In addition to that, there are technical solutions of using anonymized data and synthetic data to train the models. And all these are good solutions for regulated industries. We have various security measures we want to implement. For example, we want to have ample testing for any AI system, especially generative AI system or AI agentic system that we're going to release to our clients. And we need to test it thoroughly, including red teaming testing to make sure it's safe to use. For data privacy, we hear more and more about federated learning approach, which is kind of using separate systems that don't share between them the raw data to train our models, and that can help protect data privacy. We can use ethical frameworks and guidelines, either developed internally in our organization or developed externally by various bodies. And whether we are in regulated industry or regulated country, we can always make sure that our company or business or in our personal use, we're adhering and adopting to these ethical considerations and principle of transparency, fairness, and accountability in developer AI systems. Somebody asking in the chat, what is red teaming testing? Red teaming testing is really tearing apart the model and testing all the use cases and doing reverse engineering and actually trying to make it fail. So for example, most of the tools we are using today, such as ChatGPT and Gemini and Midjourney, have protections against telling us how to make a bomb, or against making nudity or inappropriate content, pictures or content. But there are teams that would try to jailbreak them, do anything they can to surpass these safety regulations and policies and discover loopholes, right? That red teaming testing, right? So when we discover it's like hacking somebody to show the vulnerabilities in their security system in order to fix it. And establishing internal AI ethics boards. So it was proven, and many companies are already doing that establishing an internal ethics board and review process helps to make sure that our company developing ethical and safe AI, but also we can do it on a country level, on an international level, on a government level. And again, I cannot say that enough. I was talking about it in each of the session, promoting AI literacy and awareness, right? Within your organization and in your environment, because AI literacy helps mitigate AI risks. And last but not least, we do want those regulatory frameworks and governance to be international and across organizations, across states, and across countries, that we as humanity could adhere to the ethical and regulatory concerns to make sure that the AI we develop is safe, fair, transparent, and kind of can help humanity to enhance its capability while it's being safe for humans to use and won't affect humans' life in any risky ways. And we have actually a lot of power in our personal realm, and there are a lot of books that we can read about that. There are 3 here that I recommend: Nexus by Yuval Noah Harari, Super Agency by Reid Hoffman, and Unmasking AI by Dr. Joy Buolamwini. All of these are good books to read to get us thinking and discussing how we can, in our realm, to develop safe, ethical AI and promote regulations and safety nets. And in addition, we can advocate for AI governance at workplace, community, personal use. We can educate We can develop AI responsibly if we're developing AI tools, and we can definitely join organizations such as the Algorithmic Justice League or the Women in AI Governance, etc. And for the sake of time, I think we're a little bit behind already. I want to jump into the examples of IP risks with AI. I hope that Peter joined us. Peter, are you here?
Yes. Hey, Anna, how are
Hi.
you?
Good. Thank you for joining, Peter. So I am extremely excited to introduce Peter, and I'm grateful for Peter joining us today. So Peter Nieves, also referred to as the IP mentor, is a nationally recognized IP attorney of 26 years. He's an entrepreneur running 2 corporations. Peter specializes in AI law as well as trademark, copyright, patent, and trade secret laws, handling both litigation and prosecution. He's a founder of Nieves IP Law Group, LLC, and separately also created an educational institution to provide business and legal knowledge to everyone, regardless of business size. Peter has created training such as Law for AI Masterclass, the Content Creators Legal Bootcamp, the Small Business Legal Bootcamp, and the Protect Your Idea Challenge, all intended to assist people in securing the future of their business venture while avoiding legal troubles. He speaks at events around the globe and most recently spoke in Washington, D.C. at the DMV Founders Forum, bringing awareness to content use in the training of AI engines and associated IP issues. And I personally worked with Peter for the last 20 years on writing a variety of patents and can recommend him personally. So thank you for joining us, Peter, and help me everybody to welcome Peter. And Peter is going to talk about IP considerations. So kind of here is a slide to start us off. There are IP risks with AI can include copyright, patent, and trade secrets. And Peter, take us away. Do you want to share your own slides, or do you want to go to full
No,
kind of speaker mode?
Knowing, first of all, 20 years. My gosh, has it really been 20 years that we've known each other?
Oh,
My God.
almost. It's been
That's a long time.
yeah.
No,
It's
why
been
don't you just show
19.
why don't you just show everyone on the screen? I don't need all this. I mean, I do this so much. I really want to try to make this interactive and help people. Everybody, it's an honor to be in front of you. I mean, as you all know, Anna is she's just a pleasure and a gift to all of us. And so I'm just very grateful. I mean, I came in here for like the last 10 minutes and I've been listening, and you guys are blessed to have her here. So that's amazing what she's been sharing with you. So just want to honor her and thank her for inviting me. So here's my thing is that yes, I've been teaching on AI for a very long time. I've been writing patents on AI for about 15 years. Like, this technology is not new. It's just new graphical user interfaces. It's new ways of interaction. The way I want all of you to think of when you're implementing AI within your company is if you just hired somebody and you don't know whether or not they know what they're doing. That's the way you should be reviewing the stuff that comes out of AI. That's the way you should be interacting with AI. Just as if you hired a new person, you put out an ad, they just put out the first letter to go to your client. That's how you should be looking at the letters before they go out the door as you're starting to train them, right? Now, there's a lot of IP issues associated with it. Just to be clear, I use AI literally every single day. Like, I run multiple corporations. I run a law firm, an IP law firm, but then I run an educational institution. So I'm creating ads, I'm creating copy, I'm creating images, I'm creating videos. I'm using so many different programs. So what I'm going to be teaching you here is not to scare you away from AI. That's not my intent. It's to make sure you're aware of what's going on. Okay. There's 3 general areas that I tend to look at when I'm looking at AI. Number 1 is what's going in. Number 2 is what's coming out. And number 3 is who owns the stuff. That's really it. Now, I'm not going to use a lot of legal jargon here because, quite frankly, lawyers are infamous for putting people to sleep. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you the way I would talk to anyone. All right. So in the 3 different categories, and I saw Anna going through some of the stuff already, you need to be considering in the first area of what's going in. I'm going to be covering things that actually go into copyright, into trademark, go into patent, go into trade secret, all in my description. Okay. So when you're putting things in, what you can't be doing is taking somebody else's copyrighted work, somebody else's created work, and inputting it to try to create a modification so that you come out with something better. That's called copyright infringement. Okay, and if you're not familiar with the fact that many of these engines will actually learn from what you're utilizing, unless you're using a version of an AI model that actually does not learn or does not take what you're entering in, then what you're doing is you're taking somebody else's hard work. Imagine if it was you. Somebody took your book, uploaded your book into ChatGPT, and all of a sudden it learned from your content to create derivatives so as to provide good copy to other people without you getting a penny in the process. Like, that's not what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is work with what we've created, or open source, or publicly available, or licensed content where we're allowed to make modifications. Then we can input that stuff into AI if we know that AI is actually going to be learning from it. Right? Now, there are different versions of it, which I love that Anna was hitting on this. There are versions that you can use that do not learn from what you're entering in. You can use closed systems, which is great, but that still doesn't alleviate the fact that you're committing copyright infringement. So you may be thinking to yourself, well, I can take this person's website, their funnel, their book, their journal, their article, whatever, their video, their audio clip, and upload it because it's a closed system. No, you can't. Now, who's going to catch you? Look, I can't speak towards who's going to catch you or not going to catch you. I'm just telling you that it's not proper. You can't do that. That's making a copy. In fact, the Copyright Office is going to be coming out within probably a month or two with a new statement specific to the training of AI models and the use of copyrighted works in the training of AI models, and what their opinion is regarding whether that's copyright infringement or not. The fact of the matter is, it is copyright infringement, period. But now the world's trying to figure out, how do you justify the existence of an OpenAI ChatGPT, of a Midjourney, and other companies, generative AI companies, that are coming out publicly and saying, yeah, oh my gosh, I guess we did take everything from the internet and scrape it and throw it into our engine. So, oops, let's see if we can justify our existence now and continue making billions a year. So now the laws are being kind of worked with. But what does all this mean to you? It means whatever you're entering in, the first thing you should be looking at is, does it belong to another party? That's the first thing. If it belongs to another party, you better have permission to be entering it into generative AI. If you don't, you could be violating copyright law. If you're using somebody else's medical information, you could be violating HIPAA rules. These are things I heard Anna talking about, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time going into this. Okay, but just remember, you see a painting on the wall, you take a picture of it, you upload the picture into Midjourney, that's copyright infringement. You don't have a legal right to make a copy of somebody else's work. Now, that works for you as well. So that means that you should be speaking to your employees and telling your employees, hey, don't be taking our proprietary stuff and uploading it into publicly available generative AI platforms to try to come out with better copy. Here's our approved AI model that you're allowed to use. This is approved. This is a closed system. We're paying for it. This is the one you can use. Everybody here who's running a company, how many people were running companies? Just by a show of hands. I'm very interactive. So, okay, great. Got it.
Yeah. So, Peter, kind of, I'm taking this opportunity to recap a question that we have in the chat. Can you even prove and litigate someone stealing your information?
That's a great question. So that's being litigated right now. There are tons of cases that have been filed in the federal district court over this very issue. So as of right now, I mean, many of you know about, I don't know, maybe you know about this or not. The New York Times sued Microsoft, sued OpenAI. That was one lawsuit. In the United Kingdom, there was a lawsuit for tens of billions of dollars. Multiple directors and production companies sued OpenAI for scraping their content and not paying them for copyrights. So how do you prove it, right? So let's say somebody has a derivative work that comes out. So this is a situation when mom said, hey, don't eat any cookies before dinner. Now, you know, she walks into the kitchen and there you are with a cookie, right? So now you're trying to find a way out. Okay, so, and the answer is, well, Dad said I could do it. Like, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find a way out of this. Well, the fact of the matter is that if in copyright analysis, what you're looking for is the essence of the copyright. So if somebody has, let's say the Mona Lisa was still protectable. If somebody has something with the image of the face and it comes out of Midjourney, that's copyright infringement. I don't care if you change the hands. I don't care if you put a mustache on her. I don't care if she has like a really cool hat. That's copyright infringement. Why? The essence of the copyright came out of the engine. So what you look at is you do a copyright infringement analysis. Now, there's other situations where somebody will do like an evidentiary hearing. There'll be requests for production. There'll be interrogatories. I'm also an IP litigator, handling litigation throughout the multiple states throughout the United States. So there'll be an evidentiary hearing to determine where did the source of this come from. And so can you prove it? If it's worth enough money, somebody's going to prove it. But when it comes down to determining if there's infringement, the analysis is, does it essentially capture the essence of the copyrighted work? If it does, and just so all of you know, I've gone into programs like ChatGPT and Midjourney. ChatGPT essentially asked it to write the next chapter of a book. You know what it did? It took a majority of the content from prior chapters of the book. Copyright infringement. Okay, so these are things you need to be thinking about. So, and I just want to add something here because I didn't hear you talk about this, and you may have talked about this before, Anna, but a number of you may be actually hiring people to create AI engines for yourself internally within your company. You need to figure out what is the data that's being used to train those engines. Is it scraped content? Is it spitting out that trained content, derivatives of that trained content to your company? Or is it not? Or is it a patched result engine? So now results come out, they say, oh, that's not something that we can make available to others because it may be copyright infringement. So for that reason, or trademark infringement. So for that reason, we're going to patch it so it doesn't spit those results out anymore. Like there's ways to work with an engine, but it's your job if you're spending $20, $30, $40, $80,000 on a new AI engine for your company. Don't you think you want to know where the content came from? Like it should be open source and licensed content. If it's not, you may have a problem. So figure this stuff out beforehand. So are there any other questions in the chat? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Peter, we have a few more questions in
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
chat. So Stella kind of making a comment about the previous question, kind of saying, okay, so most of these big companies have deep pockets, but smaller businesses do not have the resources. For example, go after somebody and prosecute them if they infringe something of the small business. So I guess the question is kind of, what do you suggest, Peter, for those small businesses to do to make sure their IP is protected when they don't
Right.
have these big pockets?
Right. So that's why due diligence on in an internal manner is extremely important. You don't want to be taking your own proprietary information and uploading it into, generative AI programs that are learning from your content and providing results that are derivatives of the original inputted data. Like that's your job. It's your job internally if you have employees to make your employees know this. Say, hey, we have an AI business policy. All of you need to comply with this policy. You can't be doing the following with AI, generative AI programs. And you need to tell them what generative AI is. Many of them don't know what it is. They believe, I've seen this happen for multiple companies who have become clients who are trying to save themselves now because of issues that have happened with AI. And they hire me and they pay $600 an hour. And what they do is they try to save themselves. And you can't pull out the data that's already there. This is why there's all these DARPA rule violations and all these other issues that are coming up with AI. So what do you need to do internally? You need to set up protocols for yourself and for your employees to make sure they know what they can and cannot enter into the AI platforms. If you are dealing with images that you're uploading into something like Midjourney, you're using certain versions of it, certain levels of it, and you're aware of what happens to your entered data or to your entered images or your entered videos. Like it's your job to know this beforehand. You can also use certain technologies and filters that have come out recently in AI that will actually investigate what's being entered into your platform and say, hey, this looks like confidential information. Are you sure you want this to be entered? There are programs that exist now that already do that. And so you can implement that within your own local area network, within your, within your business, so that all of your employees are having whatever they enter into generative AI filtered beforehand. Hey, that looks like it's medical information. Hey, that might be a social security number. Now all of a sudden, boom, it stops. Now, if you don't want your content to be made available to the public, then you should do what Anna mentioned earlier. Determine what happens to your content with that AI platform. Know that beforehand. If you know, then you don't use the ones that are going to make it publicly available. If it's one that is not going to make it publicly available and it seems like it's safe to use, then that might be something that you can utilize. There's also things like glazing that you can use. That's a technology that exists, which makes it so that what you enter into certain AI platforms cannot be scraped, it can't be captured. So what you enter in can be manipulated, but it can't be harnessed. It can't be harvested. Those software platforms already exist. So these are kind of things that we talk about in the Law for AI masterclass. And yeah, go ahead.
So there is also a question in the chat that but I just wanted to make a comment on that. I think all these are great points. And in addition to that, there is like another very simple and manual way. When you're uploading documents, you can always delete your name or any identifying information first before uploading it to any system, even if you checked all they don't use my data. And there is a good question here. What happens if you already share data? Can you pull the data once it already entered in one of these AI systems? So as we discussed earlier, in some cases, yes. And in some cases, not. Sometimes you can delete the data, but it's already been trained on. Sometimes you can entirely delete it. But like from the legal perspective, Peter, is there a way to pull back?
Yeah, you really can't with a lot of these platforms. And this is why there's so much litigation going on right now. Like they're trying to find a way to either pull back the information or give royalties to parties who actually should have been compensated for that content that was uploaded. That's the whole background to the New York Times versus Microsoft and OpenAI litigation. Let me go back to the question you asked before, which is what else can we do internally? You have certain legal rights under trademark law and under copyright law without filing anything with the government. Most people don't know these exist. Okay, there's this thing called common law copyrights and common law trademarks. If you've been using your trademark in interstate commerce, let's say you're located in Boston and you've been selling into Destin, Florida, and you've been selling into, you can tell I want to go to a warm climate right now because I'm thinking of only warm places. So, so every geographical region where you're using your trademark in interstate commerce, you have legal rights automatically in the United States. It's called common law trademark rights. Okay, the same thing applies under copyright law. You have certain common law rights, even though you didn't file at copyright.gov for $65 online, even though you didn't do that, you have certain legal rights automatically. All right, these are things you need to understand. So you should be marking your content with the copyright notice. You should be using a TM on your images, right? Or on your, like if you have an image that's being used for your logo, put the TM on it. So you're making the public aware that these are your images, right? These are your logos. The other thing is, if you're going to upload anything onto your website, you should be concerned that that's going to get scraped because that's what's happening with the majority of the AI platforms. Use low resolution, low DPI, images so that if those things are replicated and made larger, they're so granulated that nobody would want them. This applies to all the artists I know. Like I train artists specifically, I have a training just for artists. They are terrified of what's happening right now because their content's getting scraped off the internet. So one of the things I have them do is they say, well, can't I just watermark? There's AI platforms that are removing a watermark in a second. So watermarking does literally nothing these days. The technology is too good. You have to use very low resolution so that it looks appealing to the eye. You can get an idea, but that person has to contact you directly for a higher resolution image should they wish to purchase something. So we need to take a more affirmative role ourselves. We can't just rely on the technology. We have to protect it ourselves. So just to summarize, you have certain legal rights automatically under copyright law and under trademark law. So if somebody's using a result and they say, hey, I just got it out of ChatGPT and it's clearly a derivative of your work, you say, I have legal rights under copyright law, period. Like, here's my original work. Here's proof of when I created it. This is use that it's actually been used out in the public. You need to stop using that now. And so you have certain legal rights because the only person who can make a derivative work is the original copyright owner, nobody else. Okay, so now going to your next question, the one that you just mentioned, is there a way to pull out the data once it's already been entered or the images? I'm finding that the way that a lot of these large corporations, a lot of these large AI corporations are trying to accommodate the fact that they scraped the internet and grabbed all of our content and images is that they're trying to find a way to create either a licensing program or they're trying to find a way to create like an entity like they did with the Napster situation, where people can upload their information and then receive a royalty off of that. So they're not trying to solve the problem, which is how do you get Veronica's data out of the system? Like, that's not what they're doing. How do I know this? I know legal counsel for Microsoft. I know legal counsel for a lot of these other companies. Like, we all hang out. We know each other. I know legal counsel for Nintendo and a lot of other large corporations. Like, we went to school together. So I know what they're trying to do internally, and what many of them are trying to do is to find a way to compensate for what's already been done because they know they can't undo what's already been done. And you're going to hear more about this within the next year. Okay. More questions.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Peter. I think this is amazing, and thank you for kind of letting us know that some organization can even remove the watermark, because I wasn't aware of that. I always use a watermark. I'm like, oh, they can remove it. That's not good. So I think this advice of using low resolution is actually a great advice for artists and other kind of picture we're sharing. And maybe just like before we wrap up, and we do need to wrap up in very soon, but like just kind of a quick question that maybe you can address about ownership, right? So we maybe we're creating our logo or our brand with using AI, right? Today, Wix Studio and other Canva and other systems allow us, and GoDaddy allows us to create our own website, our own logo, our own whatever, and we might unknowingly infringe some IP laws when we're creating our logo or our branding. So how we should be careful about it.
Yeah, this is one of the biggest concerns, honestly, in the industry right now. So a lot of platforms that exist where you can create logos using AI, you need to read the terms and conditions. Like, you really need to read those things. If you look at Canva, you're not allowed to own a logo that uses their content, like their images. You can't do that. Like, you have to read the terms and conditions. You're allowed to use it. You have a business license for use, but you do not have the right to file a federal trademark application, which gives you exclusive rights to the image that was rendered utilizing their platform. Because now that image, utilizing certain backgrounds or certain objects or whatever it is, cannot be used by anyone else because it would potentially infringe upon your own trademark. Now, does that mean I can't take my own logo and upload it into Canva and tweak it? No, that's not what I'm saying. You're the creator of that. You're just tweaking it, right? You're just modifying it. I'm saying if you go into a program like Logo AI, like when I do my Law for AI masterclass, I actually go through a live training and show them. We're going to go into Logo AI. We're going to ask it to create a logo. Then I take that image and I upload it into Google search. You can actually look at the search bar for Google. On the right-hand side, there's a camera. You click on that, you upload the image, and it shows you every other image that's even similar to the one you just uploaded, right? So I created a logo using Logo AI that you paid for $59 to purchase, okay? And then I uploaded it. It was someone else's logo. Then I went to the USPTO website, did a live trademark search, and trained everybody on how to do a live trademark search. And it was a federally registered trademark of another party in a similar area. That means you paid $59 to buy a lawsuit. Congratulations. I mean, that's what you need to be concerned about. So, number one, I would be looking to see the terms and conditions. Do you actually own what's created using the AI platform? Yes or no? Right? Now, if you're looking under copyright law, if the creative element of what's created under copyright law is done by AI, you can't own it. The Copyright Office has said that. The Federal District Court have said that. The element of creativity must have been done by a human being. As of right now, case law and the Federal District Court and the Copyright Office have both came out and said, nope, you can't own that. So if you just think you could go into Logo AI, create a logo, and then own the copyright for it, you can't. Can you own the trademark though? This is where it gets very interesting. You can use AI to create a trademark where you didn't create the creative element of it, but you can use something that where you didn't create the creative element of it and still use it as an identification of a source of goods and services. So you may be able to own it as a trademark. It's very interesting. Like if you dig into this stuff, you can actually potentially create logos that you can't own under copyright law, but you could use as a logo, even though you didn't quote unquote create it, because you're using it in interstate commerce as an identification of a source of goods. So there's a way to work the system. You just need to understand how to work within the system. And business savvy people are going to take off with AI if they understand how to work through the legal issues. And they're not that complicated. You just need to work with the right people to do it. So again, look at the terms and conditions. One thing to be aware of, some of them say we're going to give you legal rights to what you create. That does not mean they're giving you legal rights to the copyright or the trademark. It means that they're giving you legal rights to use it. Okay, you have to figure out what legal right did they give you. Do all this before you spend money on creating a logo. Okay, and then we talked about, can you own it under copyright law? Can you own it under trademark law? We talked about that. A lot of the platforms, like I said, will not allow you to own what's created because then they're not going to be able to make money anymore because that thing now exclusively is owned by you, which is not fair. And so a lot of them won't allow you to do that. But it's your job to dig into this and figure it out up front. Okay, there's 3 elements to copyright, just so everybody knows. It needs to be some kind of new creative work. It needs to be fixed. And there needs to be a human being who's the author. Okay, now there are exceptions to this because if I take my cell phone, which I have right here, and I lift it up and I just like take a picture, I actually own the copyright on the picture that was just taken. Now, the justification for that was the Copyright Office said, well, you looked at the shading, the lighting, the person, you picked it at the right time. That's baloney. How many of us like just pick up a cell phone and push a button? I own the copyright. I didn't look. Boom. I don't even know what I looked at. Okay, I own the copyright. So don't tell me that it's because I determined the lighting and the shading and the subject. That's not it. It's because it's my cell phone and I took the picture. So the Copyright Office is actually open to the idea of a machine creating a work that could be owned under copyright law. They're open to the idea. They're just trying to figure out how to do it. I think within the next 6 months, you're going to see exceptions where the door is going to open at the Copyright Office where AI created works are going to be copyrightable in certain circumstances. And they just a few weeks ago, I'll close on this because I know we're over, Anna, but just a few weeks ago, the Copyright Office came out and said, you can take AI created works, combine them in a creative way and own the copyright for the AI created works based on how you combine them if you added an element of creativity to what your combination is. Think about that. That's a whole new area of potential revenue that is available to artists that didn't exist before. So now, you know, an artist who may have been making not as much money there, they can jump into, all right, I grab AI art and I've got my own creative way of combining things that adds a new artistic flair to it. I've got the copyright on that. That's a really interesting twist. So the Copyright Office they're making changes. They're trying to figure this out. I've been talking with Keith at the Copyright Alliance and members of the Copyright Office themselves, and we're all trying to figure it out. So it's changing. It's changing. So this is something where you can't sit back and just ignore it. You need to be on top of this if you want to be successful in using AI.
Thank you so much, Peter. That was amazing and a lot of information that we all can use. We are kind of on time. And thank you everybody who participated and asked questions. Remember, there are a lot of considerations for AI risk, ethical AI, regulations, IP considerations, laws, and we have a lot in our power to do to mitigate those risks and to be aware of what's going on.
Hey, Anna, can I
Veronica
mention?
will.
Yeah, I just want to mention something really quick for you because a lot of people don't know about this. So on February 19th to the 21st, for all of you that are content creators, so you're writing books or you're doing publications or you have images or you're vloggers, bloggers, whatever it is, selling product online, we have a program called the Content Creators Legal Bootcamp. It's only for content creators, all right? We're going to be covering all this kind of stuff. And so we'll be going into what you can do, can't do. Even if you're speaking live, doing live events, what should you be thinking of legally before you have a live event? Like, what are the things that are important to ownership and stopping others from taking your content? It's at protectedcreators.com. You can look at that site. And so that's February 19th to the 21st. People are signing up very fast because there's a lot of content creators out there. So just thought I'd let you.
That's wonderful, Peter. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So I was going to say that when Veronica will send you later the recording, as always, both me and Peter will share some materials, some kind of PDFs and slides, but also, Peter, maybe you will share the details of this training so people will have it written and they can sign up.
Sure.
Veronica, anything you want to add before we adjourn?
No, I just want to thank you both so much for sharing your expertise and giving such great examples. This has been a lot of information to digest. I'm sure people will watch this again. So thank you very, very much for your time today. And Anna, for your time for all three of the sessions. So thank you.
Such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. It's our pleasure. Yeah, it's my pleasure. Have a wonderful rest of your month. And Veronica, as we discussed, and everybody, we will schedule some office hour for questions later this month, and we will and hope to see you all at the Community Salute event.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank
Take care,
you all.
everyone. See ya.
Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Peter.